afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're seeing us. Welcome to this year's World Bank Group Pitch Competition Information Session 2024 edition. Today, you are going to hear from members of the Youth Summits Committee and also from very special guests. And we hope that by the end of this short 45-minute session, you're going to get all of your questions about the pitch competition answered. So without further ado, I'm going to give the stage to the manager of this year's Youth Summit, Iman Hamidaddin, so she can talk a little bit about the summit and the theme for this year.
Thank you, Beatrice. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for joining us. And thank you to our vibrant youth viewers from around the world. Greetings and welcome to the World Bank Group Youth Summit Pitch Competition Live Information Session. It's an honor to have you all here as we kickstart this exciting journey towards the summit. The World Bank Group Youth Summit stands as a beacon of hope and opportunity for young minds eager to tackle the pressing challenges facing our generation. It's a platform designed to empower you, our youth, to explore innovative ideas and engage in impactful development projects that address the most critical issues of our time. In the digital transformation age, you, the youth, play a pivotal role in shaping the future landscape of technology and innovation. And as digital natives, you possess a natural affinity for technology, enabling you to adapt quickly to emerging trends and drive change. Your fresh perspectives, creativity, and willingness to embrace new technologies make all of you invaluable contributors to the development of digital solutions. And we at the World Bank Youth Summit, we understand that engaging youth in digital transformation initiatives fosters inclusivity, and that paves the way for the benefits of technological advancements to be accessible to all segments of society. And so by empowering you to participate actively in shaping the digital world, we can harness your potential to address global challenges and create a more sustainable and equitable future. This year, our summit will take a deep dive into the digital landscape, where technology serves as both a catalyst for progress and a tool for inclusivity. We recognize that the digital revolution has the power to bridge divides, empower communities, and drive sustainable change across the globe. Aligned with the World Bank Group's commitment to digital development and under this year's theme of Powering Progress, Youth Leading the Digital Transformation, our discussions will confront the digital divide head-on, champion inclusive growth, and navigate the promises and perils of emerging technologies. Through the lens of three fresh perspectives, youth in areas affected by fragility, conflict, and violence, women in tech, and rural youth, we will shine a spotlight on those who are often marginalized in the digital discourse and will bring their voices to the forefront of our global stage. Throughout our summit, we'll explore three sub-themes: digital access and inclusion, artificial intelligence, and sustainable technology for a livable planet. These topics are not merely abstract concepts, but actually represent real-world challenges and opportunities that demand our collective attention and action. Through the Youth Summit Pitch Competition, we're providing an opportunity for young people around the world to showcase their innovative ideas and make a real impact on pressing global issues. This pitch competition is more than just a contest. It's a platform for young change makers like yourselves to shine and drive positive change in our communities. And as we embark on this journey together, let's remember that each of you plays a vital role in shaping the future we want to see. Your ideas, your passion, and your commitment to positive change are the driving forces behind the progress we seek to achieve. So the pitch competition is your chance to make a difference, to be heard, and to be a catalyst for change in your community and beyond. So I encourage each and every one of you to seize this opportunity, unleash your creativity, and join us in powering progress through innovation and collaboration. Thank you for being a part of this journey, and I personally look forward to seeing all the incredible ideas that emerge from this competition, and let's make this year's summit the most impactful yet. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Iman, for giving us an introduction and just telling everyone what the summit is going to be about and giving an interesting sneak peek of what is to come. So moving to the pitch competition, I'm now going to pass it along to the pitch competition co-leads, Shweta Ipan and Mostafa Salem. They're just going to present the competition and let you know you can apply.
Thank you, Beatrice. Hello to all the listeners. Thank you for joining in today. Every year, our summit dives into themes that reflect the most pressing issues of our time. In the wake of the pandemic, our world has been propelled into an era of unparalleled technological advancement. In just the past 5 years, we've experienced an extraordinary acceleration in tech development, reshaping every aspect of our lives. We've seen industries that previously operated offline harnessing the power of technology in ways that we never thought were possible. Now it's time to channel this digital revolution into driving social impact and development forward. That's why this year we're excited to have Powering Progress Youth Leading the Digital Development as our chosen theme. Let's take a closer look at the three thematic pillars of the competition this year. The first pillar focuses on bridging the digital divide. As of 2023, about 1/3 of the global population, or 2.6 billion people, are offline and not part of this digital revolution. This digital gap holds back growth and limits opportunities. In many ways, a digital divide is synonymous of a development divide. So we encourage applicants to think of solutions that address these challenges. Now, the barriers to digital connectivity are a complex issue, and we are keen to know how your solutions address this. For instance, is it tackling issues related to digital infrastructure or issues of affordability through low-cost digital tools? Or is it more focused on empowerment, that is using digital space to improve access to financial services or broaden the reach of educational programs and facilitate healthcare services? We highly encourage our participants to explore solutions that also specifically address issues relating to youth affected by fragility, conflict, and violence, women in tech, and rural youth. Our second pillar focuses on artificial intelligence for good. Now, the rapid advancement in AI has sparked a transformative wave, everything from revolutionizing data collection, optimizing energy consumption, streamlining robotic operations. Now, the possibilities are vast and diverse, ranging from predicting migration patterns and crop yields, strengthening resilience in disaster responses, and mitigating the consequences of unforeseen events. Also, developing applications to assist people with disabilities. Within this theme, we would like the participants to explore how these cutting-edge tools can be leveraged to tackle complex challenges, empower communities, and foster sustainable development worldwide. Now, the third pillar focuses on sustainable technology. Under this pillar, we encourage applicants to identify digital innovations that advance sustainable living and preserve resources, incorporating green technology to adopt eco-friendly practices. This could be through eco-friendly business solutions to support carbon emission reduction, or developing upcycling solutions for reusing technology materials such as laptops, phones, or other digital products. Solutions to promote sustainability, reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and adapt to changing environmental conditions. It could also be focused on energy efficient designs and operations to minimize overall energy consumption. Now, what we have outlined here is definitely not an exhaustive list. And if any of these themes resonate with your passion, we encourage you to use this opportunity to showcase your idea to a global audience. Your solution can take any form. It could be a product or a service. It could be focused on operations or a policy proposal, a software program or an application, or simply a brilliant idea. We invite all young entrepreneurs to share your ideas that apply contemporary and technological solutions to address these development challenges. I now turn to my colleague Mustafa to share more details of the competition and the application process. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Shweta, for the detailed overview on the sub-themes. Now let me address some key questions in relation to application submissions. The first question is age. Anyone between the age of 18 to 35 is eligible to apply, and we accept applications from individuals or groups of 5 persons. In terms of work experience, the good news is that no prior work experience is required. So if you're a student, you're part of the workforce, doing an internship or running a startup, you're more than welcome to apply. All you need to have is an innovative solution that fits in the competition's criteria and themes. We accept applications in Arabic, English, Spanish, or French. In the arrows below, you can see the different stages and key dates of the application timeline, which will take place over the next month. Stage 1 starts with the application submission itself. The application deadline is March 1st, 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please don't forget this date and time zone, as this is when the applications will close. We highly recommend not to leave your application open until the last minute, as we will not be able to accommodate to any late submission requests. After the application is closed, we will begin our internal screening process. This will take place throughout the month of March. When the screening process is complete, we will start the shortlisting of applicants and conducting virtual interviews in April. During these interviews, you will have a chance to tell us all the necessary details and make your idea stand out from the rest. Finally, stage 4 is the exciting part where we will invite 6 shortlisted finalists to pitch their idea during the Youth Summit at the World Bank premises in Washington, D.C. on May 30th and 31st. Your pitch deck will be the deciding factor in making it as a finalist, so do your best in making it stand out from the rest. Now let's get into the slide on how your pitch deck should look like. The golden question is how to create a perfect pitch deck and make your idea stand out from other applications received. To support you with this task, we've provided you with a template that includes all information we're looking for on what we believe is a great pitch. This includes aspects related to vision and mission, target audience, and competitive landscape. Of course, you're not obliged to use the templates we've provided, and feel free to create customizable decks, which will express your idea in the most effective manner. Bear in mind that each year we receive a huge number of applications that go through multiple screening rounds. To ensure a streamlined approach, here are some of the main elements we're looking for in each deck. Firstly, a clear and well-defined problem statement. It's very important to clearly explain your problem and why you're trying to solve this problem. Secondly, we're looking at solutions that are new, create impact, and positively disrupt an industry. The relevance of your solution to this year's themes is also key. We understand that the sub-themes might be a bit broad, but keep it as well connected and concise as possible. Lastly, how does your local solution drive global impact? Now let's go to the final slide I'm presenting on why you should participate in this year's competition. The Youth Summit is an excellent platform to elevate the visibility of your idea or business. Each year, hundreds of people tune in online or arrive in DC to participate in the Youth Summit. This is an excellent chance for you to showcase your innovative idea with industry experts. Beyond the networking opportunities, the pitch competition also includes strong partnerships with renowned universities, organizations, and companies, which offer in-depth support to the finalists and winners. For instance, this year we're partnering with the George Washington University Office of Innovation and Entrepreneurship, which will offer the finalists training and mentorship programs. Please stay tuned for more exciting announcements on partnerships in the upcoming months. Finally, the finalists will also receive certificates and award of recognition from the World Bank Group and will be promoted throughout our social media channels. As we wrap up this segment, please email any questions that you may have on youthsummit@worldbankgroup.org. Thank you so much, and over to you, Beatrice.
Thank you. Thank you, Mustafa, and thank you to Sweet as well for giving us this very detailed presentation about the pitch competition. If after seeing all these slides and after this presentation, you happen to still have any questions or something wasn't completely clear, do not panic. We are going to have a Q&A very shortly, so you can just leave your comment, your question in the comment section and the chat of the platform you're watching this session from. But before we go to the Q&A, we have a very special panel right now that I'm sure is going to be useful for all of you. So I'm going to give it up to our Deputy Manager, Raga Kinini, and also to two last year's pitch competition winners, Nicholas Keen and Amal El Najjar. Thank you.
Thank you, Beatrice. Hello, everyone. My name is Raga Kinini, and I am so happy to be joined by two people who I've had the privilege of working with very closely during the 2023 Youth Summit, Nicholas Key and Amal El Najjar. Nicholas is the founder and CEO of Key Farms, a regenerative ocean farm network focused on growing seaweed and oysters with the aim of reducing greenhouse gases and increasing biodiversity in oceanic ecosystems. Nicholas's innovative idea won him the Jury Choice Award during the 2023 Youth Summit Pitch competition and is also now a One Young World Scholar. Amal was a recipient of the Audience Choice Award during the 2023 Pitch competition. She is a psychology graduate and is the co-founder and program manager of Tamas, which is a Lebanon-based reintegrative initiative that aims to promote youth inclusion through building bridges between juvenile detainees and the society. Welcome, both of you. Let me start by saying that you have inspired me plenty over the last year since I first came across your work, and I'm hoping this little panel helps inspire other young innovators out there who are trying to build on their ideas and contribute to the global development. So let's get right into it. You both won prestigious awards during the World Bank Youth Summit 2023, beating over 1,300 plus applications from around the world. Could you please share what were the key factors that contributed to your success in last year's pitch competition and what made your work stand out? And if you could also share some advice to the young innovators tuned in to make their pitch stand out during the competition. Nicholas, let's start with you.
Sure. Thank you so much, Raga. Thank you for having me as well. I think last year, what worked for me in particular is that I had a story that seemed to be one of the key factors. But along the storyline itself, I was able to pinpoint and highlight either one particular person or particular people that would have benefited from the work that we were doing over time. And so the storyline came off with one particular person, a fisherman, coincidentally, that we had within our training. And I took the audience along the journey of us discovering him, us identifying the problem with him, us co-creating a possible solution with him, and then us also just highlighting the outcomes of how he would have benefited from what we would have been doing. So then I help to paint a better picture of how he, along with others, could benefit long term. So we just like talking about impact, whether social, environmental, and economical. And so that helped to help the audience kind of be attached to the ideas of how it could be scaled and replicated to amplify a lot of those impact points. But I think that certainly helped, at least in a nutshell, that's how I could frame things.
Amal, would you like to add to that?
Okay, thank you, Raga. First of all, hello, everyone. I want to say first and foremost that I would like to thank the World Bank for this amazing opportunity that allowed myself and my organization to grow day by day, as well as meet a lot of youth change makers. And we didn't start in this entire project for the sole reason of choosing to see the neglected portion of society that was overlooked. And so what we did in Lebanon was we believe that the youth deserve a bigger opportunity, whether they have went through mistakes in the past life or not, in order to rectify and to come back into the community and build it all together. And so we chose to build a project that reintegrates and rehabilitates juvenile detainees back into society through the voluntary assistance of university students. And the World Bank Youth Summit allowed us to do that and allowed us to have a bigger exposure than we expected. Also while connecting and networking with youth change makers from around the world. And it was honestly an extraordinary experience to go through. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you so much, Amal. Thank you so much, Nicholas. Those were some great pointers. As someone who has closely followed your pitch journey, I have to say I couldn't agree more. But let's also talk a little bit about this year's theme, which is Powering Progress, Youth Leading the Digital Transformation. How have you used technology or other digital resources in your own work, and how has it helped you promote your mission of global impact? Amal, would you like to take this first?
Sure. Well, if we're talking about the digital revolution that we're living in, we wouldn't be here without it. We wouldn't we wouldn't have made up this entire project. We wouldn't have had the exposure. We wouldn't have met the World Bank. We wouldn't have met each other as a team. We wouldn't have allowed ourselves to market, even in our small communities and our small nationalities. AI and the digital revolution has allowed us to expand our horizons in order to target more people and in order to enhance our audience and target base. So I believe this was a very important baseline to work upon and to build from. Nicholas, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, for us, we looked at tech, or at least incorporated tech in two different facets. For one, we really wanted to identify the real world, or at least in real time, the environmental impact that we would have had over time. And so we're either partnered with different companies to do that. So they would help us create different probes that would basically stick into the water to give us readings on temperature, turbidity, everything from wave action to salinity, all the factors that would have allowed us to identify either carbon reduction or biodiversity increase. Another thing that we've been looking at thus far is better understanding risk factors with respect to how we model out what we're doing and how that would impact climate change effects in the future, especially for our coastline, because that's where we're mainly domiciled. But moving forward, I see us doing a whole lot more, a bit more experimental within the AI space, but it's early days.
I'm sure you will make progress. Great progress. I have one last question before we open the floor for some questions from the audience who are very eager to listen from you. Everybody who's tuned in, please put in your questions in the comment section of your respective streaming platforms. Nicholas and Amal, could you also discuss any new advances or updates in your work since winning the competition, and how did the pitch competition influence your approach to entrepreneurship and innovation? And finally, where can our audience learn more about you and your work? Nicholas?
Sure. So we actually sold the farm last month. We sold the farm last month. And so what has happened in the acquisition itself, we have basically spun out a non-profit version of what we're doing, because the acquiring company is more focused on offshore and massive scale seaweed operations. So a lot of the work that we still need to do within the space needs to be done. And so the decision was made to domicile a lot of those activities within a nonprofit structure. And so it has an expansive scope. So aside from just like looking at ocean farm in the Caribbean, we're looking more broadly at the global south, and we're taking on land regenerative and permaculture practices as well. And we're also looking into doing due diligence for projects that are similar to us, and more heavily, of course, within the climate finance space, in designing a lot of those asset instruments that could be more beneficial to us in the climate action forum, to just expand our potential impact in the global south more broadly. But that's a massive update. But we're still under the same Key Farms brand. It's just that most of the team, or at least most of the old team, is now with the new company. And so the World Bank has definitely impacted a lot of those decisions. I think after the win, we got a lot of predators after us. And so based on circumstances, it seemed like the best decision in order for us to really move forward and amplify our impact. I think overall, though, the experience at the World Bank Youth Pitch Summit really allowed me to become more integrated within the entrepreneurial space and connect with those who I probably wouldn't have connected with otherwise.
Thank you so much, Nicholas. Amal, would you like to add to that?
I agree with Nicholas actually that post winning in the World Bank Youth Summit, our approaches have changed. For example, I started much more believing that in the amount of change make that and the impact that the youth can bring to the world. And so as Tamas, what we did is that we collaborated with student-led initiatives and youth-led initiatives as well as non-governmental organizations in order to develop an all-inclusive psychosocial programs to be delivered in prison, rather than just delivering our piece and let other organizations do their piece, so that we can have a full, sustainable, and a consistent program to be delivered. And that provided a better rehabilitation prospect. Not only for us, but for the community in general, and for the organization. Now we all work in harmony, which provided this chance. And so I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for all the remarks and all the experience that I've learned from the World Bank and from the mentors and the experts that you have provided for us before the pitch competition. So yeah, as nerve-wracking as the pitch competition was, the Youth Summit team supported us all through the way.
I'm really glad to hear that. So before I let you go, we have a couple of questions from the audience. This might also be for the pitch competition co-leads, and that they would love for you to address. So I think we have one question for the pitch competition co-leads, which is a question from Valerie. Is this competition open to participants worldwide, or is it limited to a specific region? Shweta, would you like to take that?
Yeah, sure. Yes, this competition is not region specific. It is open to all World Bank member countries. So we do not have any region specifications. So do apply.
Great. The next question is for Nicholas or Amal. What were the most unexpected challenges that you faced when growing your business, and how did you overcome them? Either one of you, whoever wants to go first. Go ahead, Amal. Yeah.
Okay, so I think one of the main challenges that we faced while growing our project is because we're facing obstacles in developing countries. Usually youth-led initiatives and initiatives that are coming from youth change makers are not exactly very supported, which I understand can stand in front of any project that is aspiring to grow. But trust me, what we did and what we installed in our mentality is that we need to believe in our projects, because nobody would know the impact that such ideas would hold until we actually execute them and put them into action. And so if I had one thing to tell all the contenders of this year, I would say, trust me, believe in your projects, because no one else has the potential that you might have.
Nicholas, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, sure. From our end, some of the barriers that we faced, I mean, aside from just trying to scale the team in and of itself, some of the more systematic barriers had to do with just like working with different stakeholders all at once to get things moving. The developing space, or at least this global south, some of the like legal infrastructure isn't already in place, or some of it isn't even validated. And so what you'll find is that you quite literally are the pioneers in all of this. And it means that you have to basically work with different stakeholders all at once just to get things moving. And sometimes that takes a long time. Sometimes the timeline is unpredictable, and things become unpredictable just generally overall. And so as pioneers, you at least need to just bear that in mind, but be aggressive about the movements of the work that you're doing regardless.
That's inspiring. We have another question for the both of you, which is if you can offer any advice on how to balance ambition and feasibility of the projects.
Balance ambition and feasibility. I'm not exactly sure I'm not exactly sure it's a wisest thing to diminish any form of ambition that you have. Everything that you're doing, especially in the spaces that you're in, especially at this juncture in time, requires a lot of bold ambition, and I dare say obsession, in order to move the needle forward. And I don't think feasibility should be a factor per se. I think you should move right ahead with exploring as much as possible within the confines, of course, that you have. But you shouldn't try to diminish that fire that you probably have inside of you, at all.
Amal, would you like to add to that?
I highly agree with Nicholas, actually, because there is no need for you to put a limit on your ambition or a ceiling. But the only thing you need to know is that every step of ambition you take is the same step that needs to be reality checked before you move on to the next one, so that you can keep yourself grounded and you can keep yourself onto realistic terms before going onto the wall. But never put a limit on your ambition. You just have to take it systematically.
Great. Thank you. I think we'll take one last question, and this will be for the pitch competition co-leads, Shweta and Mustafa. Our audience is asking if they'll be provided with pitch coaching before the pitch, and what would be your advice for a better application, and also if it's necessary for them to have a business that is operating, or if just a business idea with the potential would do.
Thank you so much, Raga. So we wouldn't say there's a specific length for a good pitch. We put a maximum of 15 slides, but we're essentially looking for concise, simple ideas that get the ideas through, and focus on the 4 points that I mentioned earlier. So a clear and well-defined problem statement, solutions that are new, that create impact, and essentially offer something to the global solutions area, and the relevance to the themes, of course, that Shweta had mentioned earlier. And if you have any questions, not necessarily with regard to the coaching, but in terms of how to develop the pitch, please email us. I know that it might seem a lot and there are a lot of nitty-gritty details, but email us, and there's the template on the website as well. Look at the template. If there's anything you don't understand, just send us a follow-up email and we're happy to answer your questions.
Sure. Looks like we have some time for more questions. So Nicholas and Amal, can you share some insights on how to communicate a complex tech problem or tech project to a diverse audience that might not have a technical background? So how would you communicate your motivation and your vision to somebody in layman terms?
You need to break down the idea to its most simplest form. This is tactical advice, by the way, not necessarily inspirational or strategic, but break down the idea down to its simplest form, and then create analogies, broad analogies, and specific ones that can help the audience identify with the problem and the potential solution that you're pitching. I find that to be the case, not just for complex ideas within tech, but also complex ideas, especially within the climate change space, because more often than not, a lot of these spaces need to be demystified, and it's very hard for people to sift through the noise properly. And so it is your job as a leader / CEO or executive director to hone in on your storyline, and to make it as palatable as possible by first, at least for yourself, better understanding the problem and your own solution, to be able to break it down to its most simplest form. That's the axiom right there. The simplest idea, at least breaking it down to its simplest form and idea, can go a long way.
Amal, would you like to add to that?
I don't think there's anything to add. Nicholas just said it as much as best as he could. So yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah. Nicholas, Amal, could you also give a little bit of a sneak peek into your experience into the mentorship and pitch coaching that you guys went through prior to the finals last year, and how that helped you during the final pitch on the day of?
For starters, the mentorship that was provided by the Youth Summit, it was on different levels. It was from different experts, and they all were very. Not only was the mentorship like in handy, and not only was it beneficial for us to develop our pitches and our display, but also it helped us to develop our own ideas, to know exactly the audience that we are representing our organizations in front of, and to know exactly how in which order would they expect the information to be laid out. I think that was the immense help that I needed and that I definitely got. So I was provided with step-by-step mentorship and guidance in order to develop my pitch and my idea to where it was brought out. And even sometimes I had like conflicting guidances, which held me like in confusion for a very long time, but I figured my way through at the end of the day. So yeah, but definitely I had all my questions answered, every single concern that I had, every nitty-gritty that I did not understand, everything was answered. So that was what I was grateful for mostly.
Yeah, for me, my experience was a bit more ad hoc. And so what ended up happening is that the mentors and the people who are aligned with, I was able to glean on different insights from either their own personal experiences or insights that they would have had from prior years. And so I think some of the most pointed advice have admittedly I've admittedly definitely shared that here for sure. I was trying to remember if there was something that I was missing out. But no, I think everyone should be fine. The mentorship that I had received, it gave me the insights that I needed. It allowed me to sift through some of the things that probably weren't applicable to me. And along the way, even up to the last minute, I was just getting pointers on how to present things better. And so that certainly helped.
Great. Thank you so much, Nicholas and Amal. One question for the pitch competition co-leads about the process of the pitch competition and how you're going to do the screening rounds. Specifically, how many people are going to advance into the semifinals and the final stage?
Hi, Raga. Yeah. So there would be a total of 6 finalists, and we would also shortlist 15 semi-finalists who would also go through an interview process. And also going back to one of the previous questions on on which stage the solution should focus on, we are accepting applications on different stages. So even if it's an idea, as long as you can clearly communicate what the solution is and how you are addressing the development challenge, and as long as it connects well to the theme of the summit, we do accept applications and proposals that are in different stages, from ideation to scaling up, and different stages as well.
Great. Thank you, Shweta. I think that's all the time we have right now. Everyone in the audience are encouraged to continue sending us your questions in the comments or write to us at youthsummit@worldbank.org. Nicholas and Amal, thank you so much for joining and sharing your insights. It was such an honor to learn about your journeys, and I am sure your insights will go a long way in helping applicants this year put in their best foot forward. Thank you so much. Beatrice, passing the mic back to you.
Thank you, Raga. And thank you everyone watching for all of your questions. Just like Raga said, if you weren't able to answer your specific question, you can just send us an email at youthsummit@worldbank.org, and we'll try to address all of your doubts. Also, thank you to our winners from last year, to Amal and to Nicholas. I hope everyone felt inspired by what they said, the experiences they shared. In fact, I want to believe all of you are now opening a new tab on your computers to just go ahead and sign up for the pitch competition this year. But before you do, and since our session hasn't ended yet, we are now going to hear from Ida Mabo, a World Bank Group Senior Development Specialist whose work is focused on digital development on the West Africa region, to explain to us a little bit what she does.
Thank you so much, Beatrice. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to our panelists, our viewers, and everyone who's joined us today as participants for this event. I'd like to start by just thanking you, the panelists, specifically for sharing your insights and sharing your experiences and really giving so much rich experiences to potential applicants for the Youth Summit. This theme this year, Powering Progress, Youth Leading the Digital Transformation, is so apt. Globally, we can see a major shift towards digitization and digitalization. For countries, specifically the developing countries, to reach the development objectives, they're going to have to use the digital economy to transform the economies for innovation, economic growth, job creation, specifically empowerment of the youth, women, those in rural areas, and persons who are marginalized or persons with disabilities. And so having the opportunity that you have to not just pitch these ideas, which are not just ideas in terms of theory, but actually have the potential to impact and change lives is pretty much a massive privilege and something that we really encourage you to do. We know what the critical issues are. We need to have digital connectivity, broadband. We need to build, that's the foundation to the digital economy. Yet we have over 2.9 billion people who are offline, at least 900 million being women. Digital identification, which forms the foundation for digital platforms, for e-commerce, for women, social protection, being able to be provided access to services by government, especially persons who are marginalized. We still have 3.3 billion people who remain without any form of identification, whether digital or otherwise. And out of the 900 million women that I mentioned, majority of those are in Africa and South Asia. Now we're looking at how do we actually move forward on our development goals. And yes, we know that digital transformation has amazing potential, but there's serious, significant challenges that need to be overcome. We can't afford to develop with half of our nation, of the world not being online. We're looking at job creation. In Nigeria alone, between 2014 and 2019, 19 million young people went to the job market and only 4 million people got jobs. So what do the other 15 million do? And that's where what your pitches come in terms of digital entrepreneurship, hearing from Nicholas and hearing from Amal about these opportunities that they've created and more opportunities that can be created. We know that 42% of the world's population, youth population, are going to be in Africa by 2030. How do we create jobs to make sure that this becomes a privilege and actually an opportunity and not a liability? So we're really excited to hear from you, really excited to hear about your ideas, and we really look forward to putting this forward and collaborating with you at the World Bank and beyond to make sure that we can actually leverage the digital economy. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ida, for joining us. And thank you to all of you for joining this session and watching. Again, if you have any questions, make sure to send us an email. And we are looking forward to seeing you all on May 30 and May 31st for the 11th edition of the Youth Summit. Thank you. Thank you all.